Before this story begins, before judgments are formed, before assumptions take over, please pause for just 1 second. Subscribe to this channel. Here we don't tell fairy tales. We don't decorate the truth. We don't pretend that human emotions are neat, clean, or comfortable. This is a place for real stories. The kind people whisper about but never admit out loud. And if you've ever felt invisible in your own marriage, if you've ever wondered how far loneliness can push a person, then stay with me. Because this story may disturb you, but it may also explain more than you expect. When my husband finally said what he truly wanted, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because my mind refused to accept that he could possibly be serious. We were sitting at the kitchen table, the same one where we had helped our children with homework for years. The house was quiet in that rare, fragile way it only ever is once the kids are asleep. The dishwasher hummed softly in the background, filling the silence with something mechanical, something safe. I remember pouring him a glass of wine. Such a small gesture. One we used to share all the time. One that had quietly disappeared from our routine without either of us acknowledging it. He took the glass, looked at me, not casually, not distracted, but directly into my eyes. And then he said it. What he asked for made my stomach twist in a way I will never forget. It wasn't just unexpected. It wasn't just inappropriate. It crossed a line I didn't even know had existed until that moment. I didn't speak right away. I felt tears rise, pressing against my chest, threatening to expose everything I'd been holding inside for years. But I swallowed them back. I stayed seated. I stayed present. "Are you serious?" I asked, letting out a small, uneasy laugh. The kind people make when they're desperately trying to keep reality from crashing in. He didn't smile. "No," he said quietly. "I'm not joking. I'm serious." And something inside me shifted. Have you ever experienced a silence so heavy it feels louder than shouting? That was the moment. The kitchen felt smaller. The air thicker. The man sitting across from me, the man I had shared a bed, children, and a life with, felt unfamiliar. Almost like a stranger wearing my husband's face. Because what he was asking didn't just involve him. It involved my sister. Yes, my sister. Even now, admitting that makes my chest tighten. I wish I could tell you I immediately stood up. That I told him to leave. That I did the right thing. But this isn't that kind of story. I stayed silent. Not because I agreed. Not because I wanted to. But because I was tired. Tired in a way sleep never fixes. That if you're here looking for a simple villain, you won't find one. This isn't just a story about infidelity. It's a story about neglect. About invisibility. About what happens when someone feels emotionally abandoned long before they are physically betrayed. It's about how loneliness can hollow you out so deeply that when someone finally acknowledges your existence, even in the wrong way, you hesitate to say no. By the end of that night, my sister was crying in my bathroom. And my husband, the same man who once promised to protect my heart, walked away from the emotional wreckage he helped create as if nothing extraordinary had happened. As I stared at myself in the mirror, I barely recognized the woman looking back. Before I go any further, before I reveal how I ended up agreeing to something I never imagined, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt unseen by the person who promised to love you most? If you have, you may understand my choices more than you think. So let me take you back 14 years. That's how long I had been married to Michael. 14 years of shared routines, shared responsibilities, shared history. We built a life together. 2 children. A comfortable home. Soccer practices, school meetings, family dinners that followed predictable patterns. From the outside, it looked perfect. The kind of life people admire from a distance. But the truth rarely fits into photographs or polite conversation. Because what no one saw was the distance between us. The emotional gap that grew so quietly we didn't notice until it felt impossible to cross. We slept in the same bed, yet it felt like miles separated us. Night after night, I lay awake, staring at his back, wondering when warmth had turned into routine, when affection became obligation, when love turned into something silent and hollow. That I wasn't always this version of myself. I used to laugh loudly. I danced barefoot in the kitchen. I wore red lipstick for no reason other than it made me feel alive. Somewhere along the way, that woman faded. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. She disappeared the way daylight does at sunset. Slowly, quietly. Until one day you realize it's dark and you don't remember when the light left. At 42, I was still married. Still loyal. Still managing the household. While my husband checked his phone beneath the table, Michael was successful. He ran a tech company. Drove a sleek car. Wore cologne that lingered long after he left a room. To everyone else, he was charming, intelligent, attentive. To me, he was present only in body. He remembered birthdays. Bought expensive gifts. Upgraded my phone without being asked. But he didn't look at me. He didn't ask how I felt. He didn't notice when I stopped asking for more. Because eventually, asking hurts more than silence. And then there was Jessica. 7 years younger. Effortlessly warm. The kind of presence that draws people in without trying. She had always been that way. Where I cleaned up, she laughed. Where I stayed quiet, she sparkled. I told myself I wasn't jealous. But now, I'm not sure that was true. She came to stay with us after her relationship collapsed. 2 years with a man she believed was her future. Gone without explanation. She was broken. So I did what any sister would do. I opened my home. Our house was beautiful. 3 bedrooms. A manicured lawn. Soft lighting designed to feel warm and inviting. Vanilla candles. Family photos. Smiling faces frozen in time. But it was all surface. A carefully staged life hiding years of unspoken resentment, missed connections, and emotional neglect. And slowly, quietly, I noticed something else. The way Michael looked at Jessica. The way his attention returned. The way mine never did.